Hello.
Hello.
Do you happen to know if we are live on Twitch at the moment?
So I just started the streaming
Okay.
service.
So there we go.
I think that we're live.
Okay.
It says there was a network error.
Oh,
Hmm.
give me 1 second. I'm getting a door knock. 1 second.
Okay.
All right. I thought it was somebody like my lawn guy, but it was just a package.
We are streaming.
Yay. Okay. Now we just need Derek because it's his clinic today. Let me ping him.
Okay. Twitch is still kind of, I'm always like, Twitch. Here we are.
I almost want to start using Twitch for personal use just so I can understand the platform.
Yeah, and like I get it for video gaming. This is a little weird. I'm like, what am I doing? Because I'm not
Yeah.
used to this. So it's a little
I think
difficult.
I think it's an interesting idea, like to explore the platform, and if, so
Yeah. And I think for like how we're doing the test clinics where he only does Twitch, that may be better, but I like capturing it on Zoom so we have a record. So I don't know. I get it.
to be discussed. It's fine.
Right. There's some advantages for sure. And I think that's great.
And for
So
now, we're just kind of copying since the test clinics are our model. So
yeah. And I don't think does he use a Zoom?
I don't know.
And I think I think he only does Twitch,
And I
actually.
think we would really love to document how to do Twitch and have that internal document too if we plan to use it extensively. So,
Yeah, and like an OBS and how to set up an OBS and stuff. I think that's a good idea.
yeah,
And
exactly.
because I don't love the integration's okay, and I think it's fine for some stuff. But yeah, I do think that we should have some documentation on it. And I think, yeah, he only does for the test clinic. He only does Twitch, which is interesting. Sure.
Derek says he's on his way. So,
Okay. And it looks like we've got a few people on, so that's good.
yep, we will start soon.
Sounds good.
Which is good since we promoted this at SaltConf. So
Yeah, and I did it the open hour today too, so
yep.
it would be good. Did we, in fact, I keep meaning to go into community Slack and making some automatic reminders.
Yeah, that would be good. Yep, we've got about 4 people in the session. One of those is me.
Hello.
Hello.
And me, so, hey.
How are you today?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Awesome.
It's really not that bad. I know you said there was construction, but I don't hear it that well. So
Awesome.
probably bugs you more than it bugs us.
Definitely bugs me.
They have been doing a lot of construction in my neighborhood all summer, so I feel your pain.
All right. Well, I had a particular issue in mind for using today, just as a simple, like, let's do docs clinic.
Sounds great.
And I'll post that in Twitch and the Zoom call. Cool. So I'm going to share my screen here. Okay. So the main issue here is that there are a lot of options in the minions and the master configurations. The problem is, though, that there are plenty of configuration items that are either not documented in the configurations for the master and minions, or they're also not documented in the RST files that get published to the doc site. So for example, when we're looking on configuring the minion, and I have these links also included inside of the issue. But if you're going to go look at the minion docs to go, hey, I'm trying to figure out how to set some things. And there are plenty of options listed here for the IPv6 and the master URI and et cetera, all these things. And we also have them in the master config similar settings. And these are actually all pulled out and meant to be defined within the files that are at the root of the repo inside of conf. And then you have the master and minion files. And these are the files that appear with default settings noted, commented out when Salt is installed. So what kind of sucks then is that if there's a lot of options that aren't defined, then you're wondering maybe what's up with that. So I wanted to just go through that issue today to just see which ones would be easy fixes. But the long-term goal for something like this is that there should be automation in place somewhere that is saying, oh, I see you've added a new setting. You have not documented this in the RST file associated with the master, and this has also not been documented in the master config file. That way it would be caught in every single PR. And which is kind of why when I was creating this ticket, you could see all of these options that are not documented. And that one's just for the minion. And scrolling down, we end up getting a lot for the master, a very similar case. And I have bash commands in here for kind of how I got all these values. In it, we have a linked ticket that's a bit old that got closed that I'm replacing. But in it, oh, those are some bold check marks, aren't they? But in it, we got some, this was opened way back in 2016, and they had all of these options that had not been documented, that they were slowly whittling away at. And so this has been an ongoing problem, it seems, for Salt in general. So what we need to do is, I'm just going to start showing simple ways of being able to sync these up. Of course, this is manual, but this is just to simply show where these files are, how to put this information in proper RST format or in the config files, which they use YAML for their format, what it looks like at least. And that way, because right now, for example, we have options that I'm not going to work on today that are completely undocumented. They don't exist in either the master config files or the RST. So I don't even know what they mean. And so for if other people did know, at least this could show, hey, this is where you should be putting them in. All right, so I'm just going to swap right over here into my Visual Studio Code IDE. So I have on the right-hand side some values that are missing from the minion RST file and values that are missing from the master RST file. This seemed like the easiest approach to start with because the values that are within the config files, this one's the minion, for example, And is the text large enough on the screen, would you say, by the way?
It looks good to me.
Awesome. And yeah, so right now, this is the minion, this is the master. These are the config files people normally will see when they install, but it's also what it's at the root of the repo. And because they generally have some kind of description, it's a good starting place for me, even if I don't really know what they do, to get a PR up and going so that when it goes through review, engineers could take a look to go, that's still the case, that's true, or hey, we don't even use that option anymore. Why is that in there? Which for one, I don't really know if color is still used because I see some references to it saying that it might be superseded by some other option. So I'm just going to stuff it into that PR and see what people say in the review since I don't know. All right. So why don't we start with minion because we have some less values to do. And it's missing from the RST. If I go look at color, by default output is colored. To disable that, set to false. That's a pretty easy one. So then I'm going to go to the minion RST. And the paths that these are within the repo, by the way, are fully documented inside the issue for people who want to follow along in 58112. And oh yeah, and then for those who are using or playing around with the GitHub client, you could say GitHub issue view, what was it, 58112, and you can get the markdown format output of the initial issue opened up here. And this is where I'm pulling the minion values in case you're playing with their newer CLI coming out of there. Okay. So now that I have color, and that's going to be for output, and I'm inside the RST file. What's interesting is that color gets referenced in here, but it's referenced yet it's not defined. So we're going to do that right now. And why don't I just put it? I'm trying to figure out if there's any order to the madness here. There's just logging, minion logging settings. It'd be probably better to look at the rendered output of this page to kind of try to get a better idea of what's best. Yeah, because I'm not sure. Let's see where I'd want to put this. I suppose it'd be primary configuration. I'm not sure if it fits into any of these other ones. Docker config, minion, top file settings, security, logging, Windows and all that fun stuff. So no, all right, I'm just gonna have that toward the top somewhere. Though I noticed that these are not alphabetical, I think. It says list of master syntax. So now it's just trying to figure out where's the appropriate place to put this. Oh, that's for the master value. So that's not a problem. I'm running this just sort of like the test clinic, kind of like when Wayne's bouncing around and just getting stuff in there.
You're doing awesome.
Yeah. All right, master.
I do think it's very telling though how you go to that navigation and get lost.
Oh yes, very easily get lost.
I get lost there too. I'm like, I know it's here.
Yeah, I think I have a feeling most people shall. And oh, what's interesting is you can see we have some labels here. See how this says conf minion master. And a moment ago, when I was trying to look for if colors reference, there's a point where it's trying to actually reference color, but again, it doesn't exist. So it's a blind reference that goes nowhere. So if you're actually on this page here, which it's color right here, this is where the output becomes. So normally these references are links. that go to a label somewhere on the page. But because color is not even defined, it's just, it's not even a clickable link. It just has the color of a URL, that the hyperlink. All right. Anyway, all that fun stuff. That means we want to also use that label, conf minion color. This would probably be a good copy right here, just as a start. Or if I could, because I don't really need to put much else in here. I don't know when it was introduced. Someone else during a review, if they want to put fine-grained information, they totally can. And yeah, let's just copy IPv6s. And we're going to say, let's do that as color. And what was that default value? True. Wait, set the color value to false. It's true by default. Okay. And make my little line here. False is value. So I mean, that's that for getting color in there. I should also make sure though that I'm on a new branch. Which I'm not. I should make sure I'm up to date. Cool. Minion config docs. Sure. Okay. Okay, that's good. So color done. And I'll just put a dash because then when I open my PR, I'll just be able to copy paste what I documented here. And all right, what else do I want to do? Environment. See how exciting this is? It's very exciting. All right, environment is documented right here, which is under state management settings. I wonder if there's a state management settings in that. Oh, there totally is, so I should be doing that. There we go. Tell it its environment. Which I really should confirm that nothing else is using that. Something is. Someone left a placeholder for it, so you can see. There. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Renamed from environment to salt environment. Okay, so it just was never updated in the minion config. So we're just referencing something that no longer exists. So I have to do a different update. So I'm gonna go back to our minion config and just make sure is salt env in the minion config. Salt env is not. Okay. So what does that mean I have to do? So that means they're both super out of sync. One place says, Okay. So I'll take that's value. You know what? I'll just take them both. If both are used, environment will be ignored and salt env will be used. So what's interesting is that environment can still be used, but we don't want people to use that because it looks like it's just backwards compatibility.
Did you see you got a comment in Twitch?
I did not. Yes. Very fun.
Do you want to read it out loud just in case the recording doesn't?
Oh, of
ping?
course. I think that might be Wayne. This type of fun is familiar. I've come across some of the out of sync stuff in Test Clinic as well. Of course, Test Clinic. I'm sure all sorts of fun stuff come up in there. Yeah, so this little guy is going to change to salt env. Cool. I'm going to go back here. I already have the environment, so I didn't even need to define a new label. So I'm going to go delete what I was starting to work on. Cool, look at that, 2 down. Salt and just so I remember when I open the PR. All right, event match type. Uh-oh, didn't want for that. Event match type, let's see what we got here. Miscellaneous setting. Ooh. Default match, so as in we have no idea where else this setting belongs, right? Default match type for filtering events tags starts with, ends with, fine. I don't know what that means, but we're going to document it the same way. Now, do we have miscellaneous? No. And what is it again? Event match type. So is it just somewhere in here, but not? It's just nowhere. Okay. So since it's miscellaneous, I'm not going to create just a single header for it. I'm going to do what I did above, which was, but this is interesting. It says, that's a really good point. Wayne stated there. Looks like there are a couple of matching bits you could use. I'd be super curious if that functionality is actually used anywhere, which is a really good point, because if it says, hey, these are different match types for filtering event tags, I have no idea how that would be used. So if I try documenting that right now in that minion RST, I don't know enough about what this means. And since if this is being used somewhere, I'd also be very interested. Starts with, ends with, fine. So event match type, I don't know. Can I see if something else is calling this? Okay, look at these options. Utils event. Oh, okay. And we could see here are the default settings for starts with and starts with, which means, actually, if it's saying it in multiple places, that might even be set in the master config too. Yeah, it is. I wonder if it's documented in the master config. Because then I could just copy it over. That'd be my cheat code for today, if I can do that. No. Okay, not there. So okay, some more potential clarity there on the find all the different string searches that we have going on. And it does seem to be completely limited here to event. And then since it's using match type, I could probably say grep match type and salt utils event. For some other calls here. Yeah, this might be a little too complex for my wheelhouse here. Yeah, because it does say this is apparently something included for both the master and minion configurations. And there are several different tags, and this does seem to be primarily referenced in the init and event utils here. So I'm gonna just like reserve that for maybe its own issue. With the information that I got here. And what was my grep output? What's actually something interesting I'd like to look into, because I don't know enough, is that whether we also normally are trying to keep that SUSE master file also up to date, and what special function that has that differs from the normal master, and why it doesn't seem to need its own separate minion config file. Yeah, so I think the main things are that it's going to be in utils and also as match type. And I could do, why don't I also add the line number there. And this is me just trying to get a pretty verbose issue when I make it, so that I can give people the most helpful amount of information. I should have really just grepped out the binary stuff. And that's just because I have a funky setup right now, because it's not cleaned up, because that's where I'm building my docs.
Hey, Derek.
Yeah.
While you're doing it, can I ask you a question?
You can ask me anything.
No, I think you'll have the answer for this for sure. So I am a Linux baby, or maybe a Linux toddler is a way to put it. Like, I am baby steps learning Linux here and there. Would you take a moment and just explain the grep command to me for my own benefit? Because it seems like it's so useful in so many contexts. And I was just wondering if you could explain it. And I hope that's not too much of a tangent.
Oh, not at all. I think it's pretty much the cool cheat code to saying, I really want to search for something across multiple files. And if you look at almost all of my issues, and it's been the easiest way for me to also search the entire repository for certain functions or references, is that it's, I don't know what, grep print lines that match patterns. So I thought that it might have an official name if grep has something like that, but yeah, Wayne, I was thinking, I kind of saw the same thing, that it seems to, I only see it appear in that salt utils event file. I don't know if it appears anywhere else, or if it impacts anything else. So
Is
pretty
grep
much.
is grep
Oh,
a
go ahead.
command that can be used across like any system that's using the Linux kernel? So it doesn't really matter if you're on Red Hat or a Debian or something
Yeah,
like
you'll
that.
see. Yeah, you'll see grep pretty much everywhere,
Okay.
because and it's going to be something that is even accessible on Mac. There's a little bit of slight different functionality with Mac's version, but
But the syntax will be roughly the same, and it won't change based on which OS you're using.
it'll be roughly the same.
You might want to look it up for your system, but for the most
Linux
part,
systems, yeah, for Linux systems, it's pretty much the same everywhere. I've only had some, yeah, like what Wayne's saying with POSIX standards. But then with Mac, I have had some weird, was it Mac? No, it wasn't Mac. I had some different containers were running grep for whatever reason, required some extra args, and I found out that other people had to do the same thing when they were running Mac in those shells. So I don't know. It's going to be almost exactly the same. It's going to be just really rare where it'll probably go, oh, I need you to list the exact file that I should be targeting or path, and sometimes it by default will take it or not. But
so if you'll just like show me the syntax and tell me how it works, then I'll be out of your hair and let you get back to what you're.
Not totally. So for here, I was saying, I'll break down the args here. Is that -R is saying, hey, recursively go through this whole directory, and see I'm at the root of this alt repository. And I'm pretty much saying, hey, search this whole repository for this value. And that N is the one that says, also give me the line number where it appeared in that file. And it looks like Wayne also mentioned using L. And I'm going to be looking for the event match type. Oh, cool. So in this case, this was a little bit of a shorthand, and maybe. But sorry, that part of the Zoom share screen is actually covering my terminal, so I keep clearing it. So when I'm using that line number and R, that L must have actually just cut out some. Oh, it's a capital I. Thank you. I was like, that seemed to negate some things. Oh, cool. Well, I should have been using that too, because it means it's not doing that binary business, which is cool. There's probably some more stuff with that arg, but so what this did is it searched through the entire repository with that recursive call, gave the line number, and it actually gives the output of what was found on that line. And this was actually really helpful when I was trying to find out deprecation values. Because, for example, we were trying to figure out, wait a minute, Magnesium release is coming up. Do we have deprecation warnings happening for what's going to be deprecated in that version? And using grep is an easy way to then search the whole repository to go, hey, look for this stuff. Using it, though, I also found lots of and I should probably go open an issue for that. I found plenty of instances where versions were misspelled or don't exist where there, or they were using the wrong syntax. So it's like something that needed to be fixed. But this is a nice and easy way to do it. So if you also know of a value that you better be putting a warning on, or hey, I want to know wherever we use the warning admonition in the RST files. So if I were to say, what would that be? Something like, if I could spell warning, maybe, and we're gonna look inside of doc. No, I don't see anything. Do we not give we have a ton of notes.
Could be note, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I misspelled it.
That would do it too.
So good thing is we don't have it misspelled everywhere, right? At least in that way. No, I might be using that search wrong then. Because if oops. No, I don't know. Maybe it's not as expected. I might be expecting a little bit different. But I mean, that's a really, really basic grep one. I think there was a really cool, and let me see if I could find it. There's a person who does some really, sorry, I'm just like zooming in and out here with that screen. What's her name? There's someone who does like for documentation and teaching things like Linux tools. She does these like little illustrations, zines. She does these like little digital download zines. I can't remember her name. Julian.
It's something like really common, like Julie Davis or something like, right?
Julia Evans.
Ooh, that sounds right, actually.
Because I bet she has one that is like Unix, Linux stuff. Okay, here's a tweet of hers actually, which is probably included in one of her zines. And it has like, she does this really cool walkthrough and bubbles and boxes all about it.
That's
So,
cool. Will you
yeah.
put that link to her tweet in the chat
Oh,
for
definitely.
Twitch? Oh, looks like Wayne beat you to it.
And yeah, Wayne gave the one for the actual zines landing page.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. And this is a better link just because this whole site, you can browse the comics, get the zines, get those little downloads. And if you're new to the Unix, Linux style stuff, I'm pretty sure she has one that's like dedicated to it. Like bite-sized Linux, yeah, and bite-sized command line.
She has some really good stuff out there, and I like it that she draws pictures because it helps me to remember.
Yes.
So much better with a picture.
Oh yeah, no, she is awesome. It's been kind of cool just to go through to review things too when touching on them. So
pretty sure she was at the last Write the Docs conference. So
I wouldn't doubt it. She illustrates the docs, right? So yeah, was that helpful?
Yes, thank you so much. Sorry to take you on a tangent.
Wayne gave a thumbs up on the S-Trace zine of hers too. Kind of see how a program works, which is pretty good too. All right. Cool. So I have because of that, I have some contents for what I can reference in that ticket that I open later for that whole fun event match type document. Now we can move on to key log file. See whatever this is about. Key log file seems to be an extension of the settings with the login settings here. It looks like there's actually a lot of settings, sub-settings there. Okay, no, these are potential options for log file. Key log file just gets referenced, but it doesn't seem to have any information. I wonder if key log file is where it will just default to logging salt key behavior. Yeah, I might do that same thing again now. Key log file. Bunch of parsers. Remove key log file support in 2014. I wonder if it doesn't look like that was actually removed because it still exists. So I don't know whether, I don't know what that means. And I wonder if that's like a leftover comment on something that wasn't used. So, well, actually, why don't I go look at that file? Let's see. Of course, Black and Salt modified it, but I wanted to know more. So I'm going to go look at that. Yeah. I'm going to look at the revision before that happened. And wait, where was I going? Oh, that's in the main config in it. So what was a key log file? You can hit the T. Oh, for easy search. Wow. Some basic GitHub hacks that I should get more accustomed to. That's cool. So I could have just said, would it do anything that wasn't in it? Yeah, it would. Okay. That's pretty cool. Nice. Yeah, I probably would be using that every day if I was a little bit better. And it says start typing the filter, so I wonder if there's some more extra fun that you could use here. I don't know, wildcards, no, I don't know. Okay. I'll escape out of that. Yeah. Okay, so I don't really know what that's about, because if that's in 2014, that's going to be some pretty crazy back history on that line. Which I wonder, I don't know enough. I haven't used blame enough. But I wonder if you could see the history of it.
Wayne's giving some advice.
Oh, so I was almost there doing it the other way. So key log file again. So hey, click on it. View the git blame. Awesome. Oh, just one. Okay. This is probably going to be the whole Black and Salt thing. It's still using it though, so. Oh, cool. Thank you again, Wayne, for viewing the blame prior to this change. Okay, I'm becoming better at using GitHub just by doing this, so this is cool.
It's a docs clinic for everyone, right?
Yeah. Replace mentions of 0.18. Wait a minute, so was this removed back in 0.18 potentially or something? So 7 years ago, okay, this was a very long time ago, and whatever this is about, key log file is still used. So yeah, I mean, I could keep going down. So why not? more hard coded. Let's keep going. I feel like wanting to make some kind of Alice in Wonderland reference. Whoa, so I don't really know if that actually shows it anymore. Yeah. Oh, wait, was it changed to the 0.18? I don't know. Oh, wait, hold on. So here I am. Click on that commit message. Yeah, so it was added here. I just don't know what. I don't know, this is 2013. Asking Pedro, he'd be like, what are you talking about? So key log file, I don't, it's still used. It still can be set. It still appears in that init file, which means it's still reading those config files. So maybe that is like a comment that means nothing. And or it's supposed to, where I don't know if there might be a time where it's supposed to deprecate it. Yeah, it could be that it was supposed to be removed this long ago. Because I wonder if this was before having the ability to do the deprecating in a like a later version directives, RST directives. So because if it gets defined, I think I'll open a new ticket on it.
That's what I was just going to suggest.
Yeah. New issue. What's up with key log file? Yo. All right, key log file. I really don't know what's up with that. And it's certainly called several times, but I don't know if it's just supposed to have if it's supposed to have just a configurable log path, cool. I'm even going to assign that to Pedro for some good laughs. Hey, back, GS 2013, Pedro, what's up with this? Okay. I think I got time for maybe one or two more, depending on how big the rabbit hole goes too.
This is highly entertaining, actually.
No, I'm learning. This is fun. This has to happen. This is why this is such a gigantic ticket that is probably going to have a lot of PRs to be able to close it, and then to have automation in place that can be like, don't let this happen again. Flag new values or changed values, and that would be very nice for future us. All right, output. So if it exists in Minion, set the default outputter used by the salt call command. Okay, well, are we listing output? No, I don't think we are. output in general is going to be called, but output itself doesn't seem to be called anywhere, I think. So I'll probably duplicate this other output. I could just have default being nested. I don't know if that should be in quotes or not. So that one might be just as easy as, of course, never say never, but it'll be in the PR that way. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so Wayne's saying that output is normally, output is kind of like what you see when you're calling salt directly. Salt call, for example, if you're doing like a local command, and this one references that this would be a default for salt call output, but is that you can then change the formatting. But if default is nested, there should be some other values available. That's got to be referenced in some other documentation, all the output formats, I imagine. I don't know, can you even get hyphens? Or I don't know if it works with the output modules. Well, is it configured in master? Because that'd be cool. Oh, it's referenced in master. Oh, dude, it's as vague as it was. So it made it into the master config, but well, see, this is where it brings confusion for me. Things like, well, let me check actually. If I grep the salt config init, if I grep that for, I don't know. Yeah, I think I do output to just see if it appears for both. No. Wait a minute, is this one of those deprecated values? I have this feeling this is actually a deprecated value, and if it's not even in the init config, which is where I imagine this is the only place I could find all of the minion and master configuration options. Yeah, this is another interesting one. I don't know if I want to put it in minion because I don't really know. Because look at it, we have state output, for example. So I wonder if it like, I don't even know. So because of that one, that might need its own ticket. And it could be that I just have a limited understanding of how those configs can be grabbed potentially outside of that config in it. But I don't, as far as I can tell, I don't think it can. So it might be one of those deprecated values that is just still in the config. Config option output. Is it deprecated? Okay.
I'm just curious, is your plan to just kind of keep your own personal to-do list for this particular file, or are you gonna maybe update the issue at the end of the session? Or I'm just curious what your workflow is.
Well, what I'm going to do is right after this session, I'm going to open these new issues, and I'm going to link them to this main issue that I'm working on, or just reference, because I don't know, because I don't know enough about them. And then I'll have my PR that includes the few things that I think I seem to know. So.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. Oh, I might have time for one more. All of these mysteries, so many mysteries. Return for returner settings.
Oh, can I ask another question? And I'm sorry. This is actually a question for Sage.
Apologize.
When Derek or I, because I have an open PR that hasn't been reviewed yet, when Derek or I or anyone opens a docs PR, which shouldn't take too long for a member of the team to review, do you have any recommended process for getting somebody to take a look and merge it in? My previous merge happened during code freeze, so I forgot about it, but I was just curious.
So we do, and we actually have GitHub now uses PollPanda, which we were using to assign reviewers, and they should be going through those sort of several times a week to get those reviewed. And if they haven't been reviewed, then going into the channel in Slack and saying, and adding Team Core and saying, hey, can I get a review on this is your next step.
Okay, sounds good.
Really, I try to go and also check on those when those are authored by you guys.
No worries.
But yeah, that is the process. They should be reviewed by who, and the one that you have out there right now has been reviewed.
Oh, okay. I don't know how kosher it is. Like, what's SALT's policy? And I should just look this up in the contributing guide. And I'm sorry.
Well, which 5 of them are you going to look it up in? So that's confusing. So you can ask. It's okay.
I don't know what's kosher here. Like, if there's one approving review, is it good enough to merge it in? Do I have the authority to merge it in?
So we have a benevolent dictator, DWAS, who does the merging. So once it has one approval, it's passed all the checks, which yours have, and there's no conflicts. It looks like you've got a merge conflict on this one. Then it gets merged in for the next whatever release, and so that's how that'll fall, and then they'll merge it in. But if you want more reviewers, you can. It looks like there's
You're fine. I just
people
wanted to
on this
know
one.
what I needed to do next, because it was one of those things where I forgot about it, and I was like, oh yeah, I should try to get that merged in sometime. So
yeah, and so if they haven't passed, if your PR hasn't passed test yet, but it like already passed a test and you already passed the test suite and you made like, a comment change or something, we can get 3 approvals to then push it through, like if we're on a deadline or something.
okay, no worries.
But everything else, it looks like it's good. And yeah, that one's been done. So you should be good to just do those merge conflicts, and then should get merged in. He's pretty good to do those reviews. It looks like it got assigned to DWAS.
Okay, I just was curious what the next step was, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, and so you can always put them in the channels, in the core channel in Slack, and just say @Team Core, and that's
Very
fine.
nice.
Even if they're not assigned as a reviewer, just whoever sees it will be like, oh yeah, I'll go review that.
Okay.
So I'm gonna, since we're hitting the top of the hour here, I'm gonna kind of finish the few changes I did and stuff I'm into a PR and open the issues that I have as a result of them. And as you saw for other people watching too, we actually have inside of the issues. And when you go to open a new issue, we do have a get started on a docs issue option.
Yay.
Which is what I'm doing to go through mine. Okay, cool. Any other things that we should say before we say adios?
You're just awesome, and I'm glad. Like, these docs clinics are cool. I'm glad we do them. We all learn things.
These are awesome. Thanks guys for joining. This has been great. Happy Thursday.
All right. Have a good one.